Good.
Very exciting.
Usually I don't do that, by the way.
Are you filming yourself?
I have to because I have someone who's looking to have a little bit more information about what I do, what I'm all about. So then I don't have to repeat myself. All right, so some of you know my name already.
Eric!
There we go. Well, why am I here for?
We don't know yet.
You will find out in a minute why I'm here for. But first I want to say thank you. Thanks for letting me speak about digital wellness tonight. And hopefully with what I'm going to share with you, you can walk away with something that you can use in your life and you can even pass on to some friends of yours. Now, I just want to say something before I get started. I'm not trying to impose any ideas, I'm here to propose something. So let's start with the beginning. What's your definition of digital wellness?
Switching the Wi-Fi off.
Switching the Wi-Fi off. Is that enough? Is that enough? That's it? Just switching the Wi-Fi off? That's a good one, I like it. Anyone else? Any ideas?
Leave the cell phone at home and just go out without the cell phone.
Yeah,
What's with
that could be done. Now, what happens when we say that or we do that?
Everything falls apart.
Why you gonna miss something, right? You're like, oh my gosh, we call it nomophobia for a reason. There's a place in Brazil where they treat people who have issues with nomophobia, which is the fear of missing out. True story. Yeah. But the problem is, when we go into this kind of digital detox mode, some of you are familiar with that, it's pretty hardcore. You go cold turkey, you leave everything aside, then you take a break for a few hours or a few days, and then you're back to normal. So the difference between digital detox and digital wellness is the middle way. So you say, yes, I'm going to unplug for maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes, it doesn't matter. But you know that you do it in a mindful way. So what you do is you just put aside any digital distractions to focus on what you want to achieve. And it's not always related to work. It can be things that you really want to do, but you never have time for it. So today, as a digital wellness experience designer, I want to take you there. I want to show you how it is possible, how you can do it. But today, I'm not there to tell you, like, okay, this is the 100 and more things that you have to do, because chances are you're going to walk away, you'll be like, oh, that was nice, I heard many things, but none of them will be put in practice because it doesn't fit with your lifestyle, right? So it is not the one suit fits all. This is what I found in my own life, and this is what I found with people that I've worked with. So every single one of us have different needs, because we come from a different background, we have different personality. So in short, digital wellness is very inclusive. Digital detox is more exclusive. It's for people who can do it. I want to do that. I'm going hardcore. 5 days straight, no phone, no technology. And then you go back, when you have to limit yourself for some times, and then you go back, and it's like, oh my gosh, I need more of it. So let's figure a way today to talk about something where you're going to find a balance. The name of my business is called DigiPause for the same reason. It's wellness by design. So again, it's not the idea that you must do something, you're forced to do it. You do it because you can see the payoff. How many of you would love to have like a 1 hour straight where they're so focused they cannot be distracted by anything? That it can improve their neural pathways, how it works with the brain. The more focused you are, the more you build new neural pathways because the brain is resilient. How would that be if I was to say that it can improve your mood, that it can increase your immune system, make you feel better in your skin, look better? How's that? Anyone? Pretty cool? Right? Now, why is it that we all know that, and yet people spend an average of how many hours? A couple of years ago, I was telling people during some of my presentations that, oh my gosh, we spend an average of 7 hours online per day. So 7 hours back in 2010 was already like big number. Who here, including myself, spend less than 7 hours a day on his phone or on a computer? We spend an average of what? 9, 10-ish, depending on what kind of clients we got, what need to be done, And even when we say, I'm going to put aside my computer and I'm going to chill, what do we have with us? A phone. So it's always an extension that follows you wherever you go. The problem in the long run is that you lack in terms of attention. You probably heard about attention economy from Silicon Valley. This is something we'll touch on a little bit later. It's when they try to get your attention. You know this buzz on your phone, you got another message, the red dot. There's always this impression that I'm so important that someone is thinking about me. It was all designed to seduce us. Because we're very weak here. If I give you the impression that you're important, that's going to give you a boost of dopamine right to the brain. Right? And you want to repeat the experience. That's exactly like any other addictions. So that's why they say that social media create the same craving than any drugs like cocaine. What? But again, no worries, I'm not here to give you a lecture. I already said too much already. I want it to be very ongoing, very relaxed, and just for you to understand that it's possible. Okay, the first step is to recognize that you can do it. And it starts with small steps, okay? Very small steps. There's no such thing when people say, oh, I'm committed and I want to do this thing, I want to just go for the full version and switch off for a week long. I'm like, yeah, but what after? You know, so if you say I'm quitting social media, you know some people around who did that?
Yeah, two were friends a few days ago.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it that they do that?
They were on Instagram the whole time,
Yeah.
so they found cold turkey now.
Okay. Now remember what I said tonight. Okay? Sit down, and I'm not saying I don't have the answer to everything, by the way. But in a week from now,
They're probably gonna be back on it.
back to it. And guess what? They're gonna be back to it for like a real treat. And what happens is always the same. What comes up is anger, frustration, confusion. And any emotions like that feed themselves with more emotions like that, right? That's the principle of Buddhism, right? You're angry to be angry to be angry to be angry. It goes into this kind of psychological escalation. You never see the end of it. So that's the thing. It's like, how can we do that? How can we live a life of purpose? How can we install this notion of wellness in our life? Apply this life-tech balance, right? How can we do that? Because we
I have an
gotta-
idea.
Tell me.
Jump on an aircraft, go surfing, pick something.
It's great, and I like the idea. But what's missing often, as I said, is the balance, the in-between. Like, I'll tell you a little bit about me though. For 20 years straight, I was fully addicted to the screens, okay? When I say screens, I'm 47 years old, big screen, you know, the idiot box, the TV. I come from the generation who had to go through that, okay? 1973 when I was born, and the same year was this big TV, giving you the impression of a sort of a luxury, you know, sort of a comfort. Later on, the computer. Remember the very first computer? It was so slow. The screen was a disaster. It was all black and green. I don't know if any of you either remember that or were told about it. It was super slow. Have you heard about the DSL mode when you hear the sound in the back? Like, man, I would I remember back in the days with AOL, okay? I would send a message. It would take up to a minute. How many of you would be okay with that? So you're sending a message and you have to wait 1 minute. You see a bar that says, loading, sending. It was crazy. And we were fine with that. And there was no phone next to us, so we would be like, okay, never mind. I'll be back in a few minutes and see what's going on. It was easy to just move away from it. There were no way to do work on that thing. By the way, like, would people pay you to do something on that? Like, would a graphic designer like you, as an example, would get a job back in the 80s or so? No. First, internet was not there yet. Computers were super slow, and there were nothing to be excited about. And then, as you can imagine, along the way, we got internet, we got a smartphone, and all this stuff. So it was more and more easy to be addicted to it. And for me, with my story, I was not able to control myself. I was like your friends, as you were talking about with Instagram. I had to do research all the time because of my work. You know, I was in the show business at first, and I became a motivational speaker, and you know, so I was trying to just build myself, and it was important to be informed about what's going on. So when you talk about something, you get a clear idea of what you're talking about. But that doesn't mean that you have to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning and do some research. Addiction. Now, watching movies, checking my emails every 10 minutes, and I couldn't find any support. I went to see doctors, I went to see counselors, and they say, can't do anything with that. 2008. So I'm like, I gotta find my answers. So I went on a journey for many years. I briefly told my story to Sarah just before the presentation. Went on a journey to find myself and find a cure, an antidote to my problem. It was not to fix anyone, it was about me, Eric. And what I found is this. Not just that I was able to figure another lifestyle, but I realized that it's normal that I have this kind of need, constant need to be hooked, because I was feeling empty inside myself. So I found everything from working on farms. How many of you have done that? You know, volunteer on farms? Have you done that before?
Not yet.
Are you
Not
sure?
yet.
It's
Good answer, but yet.
It's
Not
super
yet.
cool to live in a community, get your hands dirty,
No.
do something else with your life, work with animals, eat some real good food, you know, like, whoa, I had the chance to do that, and I was riding my bicycle from one country to another. So it was like a school of life right there. And within a few weeks, I was shocked. I was like, I sleep better, I relax, my head is not going like crazy all the time. I don't have to go back to it. So I created this program. What I'm talking about right now, DigiBoss, comes from that. It's a real life experience. And I was so convinced that by now everyone would adopt this kind of lifestyle. And then the smartphone came out. 2008, 9, right? It was just the beginning. And I really went cold turkey at first. I was traveling with only a camera with me. And eventually a GPS. Remember the first GPS for bicycle? I had no phone, no social media, no need to inform the world about what I was doing with my life. So it was easy to remove yourself from it. I mean, I'm talking if you were in the same situation back then, right? But then when I came back after years of traveling with all this experience, I realized that, wait a minute, now I have to build a business around that. I need to inform people. So I met coaches, I met people saying, yeah, you need to have a website, you need to have a strong presence on social media, you need to create videos with YouTube. And then this went on like that, and I was like, hold on. My idea is to help people spend less time online, and I got back into the same thing. And I was like, where is it gonna stop? And I realized that this idea to enforce this notion of detox was too strong. Too strong for me, too strong for you. So I came to realize that, yeah, if we're more soft, more relaxed, more easy with this idea of balance, then perhaps it's possible to achieve something with it. So since that day, I've been traveling in different countries looking for places like here in Algarve. By the way, Algarve is the largest concentration of resorts in Europe. You know that? Yeah. And this is where you got the trend for medical tourism and wellness tourism. Because people are looking for that. People are looking for a place where they can take a respite from their technology and do something else with their life and their hands once your hands are free. In fact, when I was traveling, I went to many places around the world, such as the Caribbean, and the Caribbean bragged to be the hub for digital detox. And I went there to visit them and talk to some of the owners. Like they have fancy suites, they have everything you need to entertain yourself, and yet they have Wi-Fi on site. You know what I saw with my own eyes? I was walking by to look at the clients. It's a digital detox space. And I swear to God, true story, they're next to each other in their bed and they're playing on their phone. Like, what is wrong? I'm dead serious, by the way. I'm very dead serious. Like they go there because they see this thing that is digital detox. You know, that you can take some time off from your phone. And yet, you look at them, they're at the beach or whatever, and they're still acting the same way. And that's why I kind of realized that we need to support around that. You know, if I give you a book right now, I say, you read the book, you got all the recipe, and you'll be fine. You can just follow the guide, as we say. It's a kind of a do-it-yourself process and within a few days you'll notice a difference, it won't work. Because what you need is the support to go around it, right? And that's what I'm trying to bring here. My contribution as a, again, digital wellness experience designer is to instill this notion of wellness in resorts, including the offline experience, or as I said, like the component that is missing right now, right? So I want to ask around, okay, otherwise it's just about me, it's get boring at some point. What is your experience so far of working as digital nomad? Do you feel like you have a balance? Do you feel like you can easily switch off when needed? Or you feel like sometimes you just, I can't, I've got to do the work, I'm stuck, you know? And again, I'm not here to judge you, but I just want to know so that we can have a conversation around that. Anyone want to talk about their own experience? How is it to be a digital nomad?
Yeah, so when I know that I have important things to get done, then I try not to check my emails in the morning, which is also quite a challenge, but I first try to do like some hours of concentrated work before checking my emails, so that's something that helps, but it's always, yeah, not so easy, especially when I'm like, no, I'm expecting important emails or something, then like the urge to check my emails is just...
To check your email. So what happened when you check your emails? Does it make you feel better, or you feel a bit,
Yeah, so I think it's just kind of like distractions that I'm looking for. So when I'm not like feeling ready to really focus and concentrate on my work, and I think like, okay, maybe there's something else that I can first do, like checking emails. Yeah.
Okay. And you know when we do that, remember when we do like this, like a slot machine? You know it was done by design? You know that? You know when we scroll on our phone, we go down and we see. Now this comes from Stanford University in Silicon Valley. It's called persuasive technology. You heard of that maybe? Yeah, they did a lab on that just to see how people were influenced by this kind of reaction. Because it's the same design in the slot machine in Las Vegas. Scary! Now, you probably know that part that there's former insiders from Silicon Valley who now talk openly about that. They say, you know what, for years we've been doing just that. We've been creating an addictive pattern so that you could get hooked for good. So every time you do that, you scroll down, you're like, okay, am I going to get the jackpot or not? You know, you go on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. For a second, it's like, maybe I'm going to get the jackpot, maybe not. And what happens when you don't get it?
You just keep going. You keep going. Keep
Yeah,
trying.
and what's the emotion that comes up after a while? Because you do it.
Frustrated sometimes.
Frustration, what else?
Anxiety maybe. Anxiety. I would say.
Anxiety, thank you. Anything else? There's been studies after studies, and The Time, which is the American magazine, declared that social media is the main reason for why people struggle with depression these days. And this study was done years ago, not just now. Because of course, when you go on social media, when you send a post, as an example, right? Let me take a post. I'm in Algarve. I want my friends to know, you know, my story on Facebook. And I'm going to show them how good I look like, because I mean, obviously I'm on the beach. I live a good life. And they live a life of misery, because they're back in Canada and it's snowing now. So I expect what? I expect a return on my investment. And what? How do we call that? Instant gratification. So instant gratification just means I'm doing something because I want something in return. What if I don't get what I want? What do I do? I try again and again and again and again. That's why it's easy to go into this addiction so quickly, because you're fed by this illusion that maybe I'm going to get some hit. If I get some hit, then I'm good. If I'm good, and it becomes a nightmare. So there's many celebrities, okay, that doesn't come from me, it's a true story, yeah. There's many celebrities that says enough. You heard of, what's his name, Ed Sheeran? I bet this. And basketball players, movie stars, music, name them, they all said enough. Katy Perry, just names that comes to my mind right now. But they all said, whoa, Because they realize that if I don't get my dose, of dopamine, I'm not satisfied. And if I spend that much time to get their attention, I'm not doing what I want to do. You see? So this idea of digital wellness can apply in your life now, right now. If you start to be aware about the amount of time that you spend online and also the reason why you do it. And as I mentioned before, if you start to punish yourself because there's something wrong with you, you're just going to amplify the issue. If you recognize it and try to use a coping mechanism, strategies, so that you're more aware, so that you can replace this imbalance with something else, it's softer at the end, right? And the reason I say that, do you know a little bit about mindfulness? Anyone here? Because I don't want just to give you the information, I need to know where you're coming from and if you understand what I'm talking about. Mindfulness. Anyone who knows about mindfulness? Any idea? You know the term, right? When I say being mindful, mindfulness, which is a huge movement. Okay? That comes from the Buddhism. In the 2000, I think it's 2010 or 11, some folks in Silicon Valley said, you know what? This thing about Buddhism, this thing about meditation, we're told, more than ever we are told by his name is John Kabat. Okay, you probably heard of that. He's a teacher. And they saw the evidence that this kind of practice, mindfulness, could help employees be more productive. So they said the dollar sign, yoo-hoo. And they're like, okay, so we're going to bring the master, Thich Nhat Hanh, who traveled for years to talk about mindfulness, right? The Buddhism, the real definition of the Eastern world, Buddhism. Okay? He came to Google, the campus in Silicon Valley, gave a presentation, and then, as usual, the Western world took what they were trying to look for, which is how can I be more productive and make more money? Took away everything. Everything else was completely stripped away. The Buddhism aspect, the religious part was just gone. And they said, okay, now we're going to teach people how to be mindful. And mindfulness was supposed to be a way to encourage people to be more aware. But you see what happened now? Silicon Valley is going through a crisis of consciousness. I don't know if you follow the news or know a little bit about Silicon Valley. And I'm aware of that because I work with them. And tomorrow, as an example, I'm on a call with the people who created Social Dilemma, which is Humanitech, to discuss about ways that we can empower groups, communities, to have a conversation, an open conversation about this dilemma and find solutions to it. Because now everyone is mindful. You can be mindful, that doesn't mean that you live a life of balance, doesn't mean that you're very conscious about what you're doing. You're just mindful. You're a mindfulness thing. And I say that because often when we refer to digital wellness in today's world, it's all about mindfulness. And do you know how many apps exist on the market right now? If I was to say, you know what, just go ahead, put an app on your phone, problem solved. Your app will tell you how much time you spend on the phone. Your app will tell you when you have to stop. Your app will even tell you or give you some quotes about ways to improve your mental health. And if you want to meditate, of course someone will be there to whisper. You know the one, Joanna?
Right.
It's crazy. It never stops. It's like if you don't have this extension, it doesn't work. So there's about, I gave a number last time, I think it was 750,000 last year apps. Yeah, so is there any startup people or someone who work on an app like that right now? That you know, that you do, or that you know? Right? Because right here in Lagos, I'm sure, if you were to look around, there's a bunch of fellows that are working on apps like that. Because wellness is such a huge market. I was on a conference call last week. Hey, I think we're looking at, is it $4.5 trillion US right now for wellness? Yeah, I think it is. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much money is going there? Because people are losing it. I'll show you something that I hope will give you a better understanding, better perspective, okay? Because I know we're coming from different places. I mean, I'm 47. Right? 47 means that I'm a digital immigrant. I was born before internet. So my understanding, you know what I'm talking about in the back.
Yeah.
My understanding and appreciation of technology is not like digital natives, born after internet, you know, what we call millennials. Right? Because for you it's an extension. You were born with it. You don't know any different. And that's a problem. The term, by the way, was coined by Mark Prensky. I guess it doesn't come from me. Digital native, digital immigrant. And the problem is that you don't know any better. So for you, it's totally normal to sit in front of a computer, work from there, go to school there, entertain yourself there, make your friends there. But for us, I remember back in the days, my mom would kick out our butt if we were to stay in the house. We had to go. Otherwise, my mom would say, well, I got the floor that need to be clean, or I need to walk. We're gone. You would never stay inside. To do what? Watch TV. It was boring at the end. And I remember we would come right from school, drop our stuff, be in a hurry to finish our homework, to go out and play with friends. You see, it's a different mindset, it's a different reality. And the problem that we have now is that instead of looking for solutions where we can bridge the two together, we try to condemn people. I was on a call a few days ago with a bunch of therapists who are trying to create programs to help people who struggle with cyber addiction, right? Never in a conversation that they said positive about millennials. And I feel very sad and very concerned about that, right? Because this technology that we talk about, Google is an example, or YouTube, you know where it's coming from, by the way? Do you know how old are the two founders of Google? 47? Same age. So everything that you have in your pocket, any apps, anything that you're looking at that make us so addicted, comes from my generation, Generation X. So we have a social responsibility, either to raise awareness or to educate people in better ways to live their life, right? Because back in the days, and you will smile on that one, I promise you. This is remember the Industrial Revolution, because now we are in the digital revolution, okay? And the lockdown just the COVID is just like it kind of encouraged the digital revolution to expand even more than it was and move as fast as possible to completely change change the whole spectrum of what industrial revolution was about. Okay, so that was like back in the days, and you may have parents or people who used to live like that. This is the 8-8-8 principle. Okay, now 8 for 8 hours of work. In the Industrial Revolution, it's not work like that. It's work like that. We touch things. We're people of service. Remember, it's like it was a different reality. Now, once you were done with your 8 hours of work, physical work, you would then engage with 8 hours of leisures. Again, being with people, playing with people, doing things that have nothing to do with this technology, simply because during the beginning of this revolution, there were none of it. And last,
Sleep.
yeah. Now, guess what happened? Do you believe me if I say, this is one of the many studies I've done, that people spend an average, that was just recent by the way, an average of 1 day, 3 years ago, 1 day a week on their phone or a computer. That's 24 hours. 24 hours, right? 1 day, complete. And now, because people spend an average of 12, 13, 14 hours a day, depending on which part of the world. And then, since the beginning of the lockdown, to be honest, I don't have any real information available. Talking about before, 2019. In Australia, 12, 13, 14 hours sometimes. Guess what happened? If you work, let's say you play on your phone, for an example, 14 hours. How many hours do you have left to sleep, to relax? I don't know, some personal hygiene. How many hours? mean, if you skip that and you start to diminish that, there's not much time left to sleep, relax, rest, recharge. Like we recharge our phone maybe 2 or 3 times a day. How many times do we recharge yourself? It's always the question, right? How many times do you take a moment to just be present, completely present, no agenda, just I'm gonna be mindful. When you eat something or go to do any physical activities, no phones. How many of you, again, no judgment, by the way, we're having an open conversation. How many of you say, go for a run, okay, with your phone with them? How many of you go biking as an example? Any activities where you have a piece of technology on you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, why is it?
Music.
Music. Okay. Sure.
Or YouTube.
YouTube. Yes.
Navigation.
Navigation, of course, especially when you're riding a bicycle, it's a must. Okay. How would it be for you if you were to just put everything aside and just go for a run, for a walk? It doesn't matter what it is. How would you feel about that?
You go to like worst case scenario and be like, oh, if I get locked out, like if I do this, if I do that.
You always find an excuse or reason, huh? Good. Like I said, I'm not here to judge, huh? I have to repeat myself to make sure we're clear about that. Not trying to, you're wrong, I'm right. No, that's stupid to me. It's very stupid. You just want to know what's your situation, where you're coming from. Right? And if it's not in your own life, you sit with your friends, don't you? Or any of your relatives, right? How often we say, oh, I'm just going to go do something else, but does something else become another way to, it's not really an escape, it's another way to continue or extend what we're doing before, right? Because we want to preserve this rush of dopamine. That's why I'm going with that. And as long as we do it, there's some consequences from this choice. This is why it's very, very easy to talk about everything that is wrong, coming from social media, coming from the web and what's so. But it's a waste of time. Coming from my point of view, it's a waste of time because if you just do that, then it shows a lack of respect for people. What I want to do is to show you an evidence and provide you a solution to it. And it starts just by being aware. It's all about awareness. You're right, I spent 15, how many hours today on my phone. I went to the shower. Some people, I was in India just before the lockdown. I had some people who bought this brand new phone that was waterproof. And I said, oh yeah, it's a good idea when it's raining. Oh no, it's not because it's raining, it's because it's for my shower. Because you don't want to miss anything, you know, they're running big businesses. And I'm like, and you watch, I was listening to them and I was like, he's in the shower and he's watching YouTube. Naked in the shower.
We're running late for a night out.
It's like,
I'm like, I'm coming.
yeah, and you have to sit to believe it because when you go in India, it's incredible. When we're talking, no offense, I love Indians by the way, so much. But man, you go to sleep, the phone is right next to your pillow, and they're waiting for a message to come. I know I was invited to stay at a friend's place when I was in India last time, you know, and I was like, I heard the noise, you know, the bell, the chime, every 20 minutes. The phone was here, his head was there. How are you supposed to have a time to relax, switch off completely, feel recharged, you know? No, you're always ready for your shot of dopamine. Now they go on their scooter, they don't put their hands on the bars, they put their hands on the phone, like, oh, what's up? And you got to sit to believe it. I mean, I swear to God, it's amazing, right? Which takes me to the other, I want to show you that part. I can really give you a better understanding and appreciation of what I just said. I hope it's not too bad. It might be very wet. I'm gonna have to wait for a minute. This was the old model, right? 888. And as I said, nowadays people prefer to skip their sleep to have more time to spend online, and they always have reasons. When I talk to people, I coach them or work with them, I don't even need to ask. They do it by themselves. They find excuses. Well, I need to make a living. Oh, it's just for this week. Oh yeah, I'm very mindful that I spend too much time on my phone. And it goes like that. And I'm like, so what do you want to do? What are you trying to achieve? And they have goals. They have goals. Their bucket list is full of goals. But like, how are you supposed to get any closer from anything on this list unless you take some actions and make some changes? Well, I got an app for that. There's one thing that I want you to take. If there's one thing that you can take from this presentation and move it to, give it to someone else, is this notion that there's no app for that. When we talk about digital wellness, sorry to say, but there's no apps. No, zero. Okay? So when people say, oh, I can just have this thing that I install on my phone, that's enough. And if you don't believe me, it's okay, just do the test on yourself and look around and ask people. You'll be very surprised. Because it's just superficial. Right? Let me show you something. This is a good way to understand where your time is going by. And this is a workshop, by the way, so it's going to be very short and sweet. I just want you to understand what I mean by how we use our time these days. Because the truth is, the time is using us more than we know we use it. It's like our phone nowadays, right? Don't blame the phone. It's either you use it in a healthy way or it's going to use you and harm you. Busy. How many times, in your life or the life of someone, you hear, oh, I'm very busy these days. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm busy. But then when you dig a little bit deeper, you realize that it's not that they're busy, it's because they don't know how to manage their time period. They have time to scroll down and look if they got a like on Facebook. They have time to send some photos on Instagram, look at me, but they're very busy. How many times, it's the story of my life in the last few years. Been trying to get an appointment with a client, talk about digital wellness, an example. I love it, pretty cool, go for it, it's really important, but I'm too busy. So I have to scratch my head and question myself in my own life, what is it that I'm busy, what does it mean? Apart from the basic that we so much need to do. So let me introduce you to this very, very, very basic. Basic, what is basic for you when you go online? Give me an idea of the basic, the time that you spend online. Any ideas? Anything that you do like that is considered to be basic, that you must do?
Commitments that you've made.
Has the work, because the thing is, this part there, okay, is in reference to what I said just before with an 888. Give you an example. You spend your 8 hours today, you've done your work, that was wonderful, you're a graphic designer, you had to finish what you started, This is the after. This is when, okay, I'm done with work, now I need some time off, but the time off become an extension of work. And then you're like, okay, I watched 2 movies on Netflix, played video games on this, scroll down on social media. Time is flying by. What's going on? I'm so busy. It's just a way to see things that you don't necessarily see. What's in the back, the blind spot as we call it, right? Basic is pay the bills, pay your bills online. It's either answer some of your emails. Basic. Now, right after, this is I usually go with plus 3 hours, right? This is, and I might not be able to write it down, you can see, this is useful. Useful is perhaps you want to go, maybe if you have any, an example, you want to travel somewhere, maybe go see a show or movie, you need to do some research. You might be looking for a place where, you want to stay. It doesn't matter. This is just to say that it's an extension, okay? Because we're still in the, what I call the blue zone, it's okay, it's not much of an issue, it's not addictive. It's just, I'm using it as it is a tool, here. Now where it starts to be a problem that goes right into the red zone, oh my gosh, is when it's, so far so good? Okay, stress related. What makes you feel stressed? When you're going, thank you. What kind of news? Our favorite? Please.
Negative news.
Give me our favorite one.
Corona news.
Woo! You just say that, I feel like,
New lockdown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, lockdown news.
And what else? Who's your favorite?
Trump.
Hey! How many people? Again, I'm part of this here, right? But how many times do we go see on Instagram and see what he said again? Just to bitch about him, sometimes to reply or look down and see what people have said, you know?
Yeah.
There's a new name to it. You know what it's called? When we go down and scroll as we do nowadays, you know, looking for things that are so dark, it's called doomscrolling. Doomscrolling. We just go down and in Asia we call it time pass. That's why TikTok is so addictive. People just spend hours. What are you doing? I'm just killing time. They're busy, but they're killing time. You see, now here is your time consuming. You know when you just literally shovel some of your time in the garbage. What can be your time consuming as an example? It's the red zone.
Scrolling on social
Yeah.
memes, like all memes,
Yeah.
just to kill stress. Because then you've read the news and then you're
Thank
stressed.
you
And you look at memes.
very
and you just
much.
look
Exactly.
more.
You're using the problem to generate more problem, where in fact you're trying to find a solution to it. And what is it with no lives? This is the real name, by the way. In South Korea, they even have boot camp for them. No lives are the ones who play games until they die. Have you heard of kids who had a seizure? They were not even 10 years old, playing video games all day.
No.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So they send them into a camp where they transform their brain. They're trained to completely, and if you do some research, you'll see it. The no life are the kind of guy who's through that kind of board. They don't care about that. They wear a diaper. Their parents leave their food at the door. Now it's an extreme, I agree. But what's important in their life is to be on target. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying with you, so no life are people that are consumed by an addiction that take everything from them. And I must say something very, I need to be more specific about that. Digital nomad, okay, because I'm learning about your lifestyle, right? I'm an accidental social entrepreneur, and I'm a digital nomad by default. So the reason why I travel, as I said just before, is to get a feel of what's going on. So of course, when I travel, I have to do my research online, I have to communicate with people online, which by definition will make me a digital nomad. I'm learning about you more than ever, because I have some interest to work with groups specialized in retreat. You probably know about Michelle and Andrea, or Mary's, Nomad Escape or Borderless Retreat. A good example of what I'm talking about, which is amazing. By the way, hello Michelle and Andrea and Mary's, if you look at me. Because it's fantastic. You get together, you learn new things, you eat some good food, you have the support of others. Wonderful. That's amazing for the entrepreneur, right? It's a little bit different when you work on your own, and it's a bit different when you don't know how to set your limits and have boundaries. And I must say, from all of what I heard about Nomads lately, I'm very impressed. You are teaching me something, believe it or not. You know when it's time to stop and do something else with your life. And we as Generation X, do you know a little bit of Generation X? How old are you? Just give me an idea.
A little bit younger than you.
Yeah? So you know Generation X? We always say, oh, millennials spend lots of time. No. There's many studies who show the evidence that Even boomers, the same. And Generation X, we spend a huge amount of time online, and we don't know when it's time to unplug. Because we don't have just, like you have some activities, you have things that you like to do. I spoke to so many ex, and they're like, as long as I don't make that much money, I'm online. I'm going to work my to make it happen. Yeah, but you're going to sacrifice the quality of your life, the presence of your friends, and what's so it's a different mentality, right? A very different mentality. So what you got here, as I was trying to explain you, is really how easy it is to switch from the blue zone, green zone, if you prefer, to the red one, right? If you're not aware of it. And I don't know how much time we have left. I think we're pretty much done. I just want to give you, let's finish with the quiz. Would that be nice? Let's do a quiz. I love to do that. Quiz. I am 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat.
Your phone.
Wait a minute. I heard a phone. Is that?
Your keyboard.
Hey?
Your keyboard or your phone? It must be West
It's a
or
keyboard.
both. Okay.
It's a keyboard. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
How many times people touch their phone per day? Just to give you an idea.
Wow.
That's a study from UK, by the way.
Thousands and thousands.
I got shocked every time I look at numbers. 15, again, I don't buy into numbers, but I'm just giving you an idea, okay? 1,527 times.
They should start an app where it's like, you know, the stepping app where every time you take a step, but every time you touch your phone, it counts that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's amazing, right? And how many, now this is the best part, I have to check because it's just too crazy to be real. How many square inch of germs do we have on the phone?
Because it's a big heavy being.
Yeah, I like it, the front.
Well, door handles are generally the most disgusting thing apparently.
How big is a square inch? Square inch? You got an idea of the size of the phone? The number is too crazy to be real. 627. I think that's what it was, like something like that. So something like 25,627, whatever. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? 25,000 plus. Too many zeros. I'm just going to the
What
million.
is that compared to door handles?
The
You
what?
should check. What is it compared to door handle?
But that's the thing again, right? But the point is, this is personal to every single one of us. You know, I could have my phone right there, on the side of my pocket. as an example. So it is really easy to reduce the quality of this experience called digital wellness. But if you really want to get into it, you need to start somewhere. You first understand the relation you have with your phone, when you're using it, why you're using it for, how long you do that, you know, and then start to build some changes around that. Remember what I said at the beginning of my presentation? I do the exact opposite of what people would do in normal cases. I'm not there to read a book and tell you what you're going to do. Boring. And as I said, what are you going to do with that anyway? Okay? You want me? Just take pen and paper, I'll give it to you. I'll give you a 10, maybe 20 right there. You know, don't use your phone before you go to bed. Don't look at social media when you wake up in the morning. Don't take your phone when you go to poop or take a shower. I mean, what's that about? If we were all so mindful, then nobody would care about it. Nobody would have issues with that. So it's one thing to give you a lecture telling you how important it is to not have your phone with you all the time and how bad it is for your health. But it's another thing just to say, look, how about options to choose from? How about if you were to build something where you can generate new results? And what are you looking for? So that's my job. My job is to say to people, okay, before we go there, we're going to know where you're coming from. I had clients, and that was during my time as a speaker, they were saying, oh, my goal in life is to be rich. And I was like, okay, how much is rich? Oh, I just want to have lots of money to be comfortable. So vague. And it goes on like that. And when you ask them, can you be more specific? I don't know. And then you ask people, okay, what is it that you don't want? Oh my gosh, we always have a full list. And, right? We can refer to that.
Yeah.
We always have a list. Oh, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. So the best way to get it started is to recognize where you're coming from, where you want to go, how you're going to get there. So, as I said, with my work as a coach, as a designer, because this is what I do, is really to allow people to understand where they're coming from, where they're going, how they can get there. So when it comes to digital wellness, it's a journey on its own. Right? So just remember that part, let it sit, as we say, and see how it can manifest itself in your own life. If you have more questions, of course, you can reach out to me. I'd like to see, do you have a few minutes just for some people, if people have
Yes,
questions?
of course.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
I normally, when I travel, I enjoy so much taking photos that I'm always excited when I travel to get my camera, not the cell phone. That's one of the ways that I have to disconnect and not be connected. And also I feel better when I travel to other continents because I'm not in the same time zone. So I don't, or when I go to the Caribbean, there's no Wi-Fi, so it's just, I just leave my cell phone on a safe on the hotel and I'm out. I'm gone.
You know, Jamaica now, they have a visa for digital nomad. You heard of that?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Jamaica.
Barbados as well.
The what?
Barbados.
Barbados also, like lots of countries are doing that now.
Yeah.
I know Portugal is also on the list. Yeah, so you know them, right? And that's the thing, when you don't have connection, so be it, right?
Yeah.
Can force it. I remember because when I went to India the first time, I'm like, oh, I'm going to put myself to the test. How many of you have been to India, by the way?
Me.
Which part of India?
Rajasthan, Delhi and
Delhi.
Varanasi, and it was very hard.
Very intense.
Yeah,
Very intense.
especially in Varanasi.
Yeah.
I was talking about the trip today.
Oh yeah?
With you, yeah, with Sally. And the culture is just a shock.
It's a shock for sure.
I've seen many young girls getting married to old men, and like they were sad. I could see in their eyes, and also all the process of the burning the dead people and stuff. Like, yeah, no
It's
words.
difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But also has a good part, like a spiritual
So now
part.
the cultures.
Yes, yes. I enjoyed listening an Indian person telling about the death ritual because one of my most important persons in my life, my grandmother, she died last year, but by that time she was already in a bed. She had a heart attack,
Oh.
so she couldn't speak or move, and that was very hard for me. And I was kind of being prepared for her death, and it made me feel more not that our Portuguese culture. I think it's more hard on when we lose someone, like you don't want them to live, and it was like beautiful in some way.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an experience. Thank you.
You're welcome.
India. You also said that you went to India, right?
Yeah, but I had a totally different experience.
Oh, okay.
I went to Goa and I went to a
Goa.
yoga place for 3 weeks. So I was just being mindful and meditating and doing yoga. So I didn't have any really shocking experiences.
come like this to see if it was my real skin, the color as well. So yeah, it's.
I remember when I traveled in India, I went there twice by the way, half a year, sorry. I remember I saw so many things like you said that are so unreal that every time in my head I would say, only in India, only in India. And it goes on and on and on. It's non-stop.
And when people ask me, do you want to come back? And I say no. But it's not because I don't enjoy it. It was a lifetime experience. It's like going to Havana in Cuba. I enjoyed so much and I know it's different right now. I wouldn't have the same experience in Havana like 4 or 5 years later. So some destinations I don't want to come back because I enjoyed the experience at that moment of my life, and that's it. There's more destinations to go.
Yeah, many destinations. So you said your experience was really different?
Yeah, I didn't have that a shocking experience like you did. I didn't see any dead people, but I chose to isolate myself from
That's
it
what
as well.
happened.
You know, I really did my research online. I was like, okay, I'll go there, and then yeah, I just really was there to do yoga and to meditate. But I felt really alive because I wasn't on my phone a lot and there was no Wi-Fi at the retreat center. But I felt like a crap addict. Like during yoga, like on the 4th day, like halfway through yoga, I don't know what my phone was doing, probably just recognizing my face or something. But it turned on. I wanted to just stop and pick it up. And people also told me like, you're really addicted to your phone. I didn't realize it till I was there and there was no Wi-Fi. I got super offended that there was no Wi-Fi. And
It's
I
only
didn't know
when you
there
put
was
to
no
the test.
Wi-Fi.
It's
Yeah.
only put to the test, right? It's
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
and I mean, don't get me wrong, where I stay, I don't have Wi-Fi. That's why I have to move. And it's kind of weird, you know, I was talking to myself out loud today, like, Eric, hello, what are you doing for a living? What's your job? Encourage people to pull the plug, right? And I'm bitching at my computer because either it's too slow or the signal isn't good.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's like, where's the in-between?
Yeah.
And I said India because when I went to Bangalore the first time, I'm like, oh, I'm going to put myself to the test, and let's do a detox. So I went around and I said, I'm going to find my way no matter what. No phone. I broke my phone that way because you never leave your phone to an Indian guy and say, can you fix it for me? And he did. So I had a flip phone, basic flip phone, that it takes like an half an hour to say, I'm coming. You're like, you mistake again, you have to try again. You know, the small phone. And I'm like, no big deal, I have no way to know where I'm going, but it must be easy, I just have to go there in India. I ended up in the worst places ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to come out of the VA alive. And they were like, what are you doing here? But it was an experience. It's just a nice reminder to say, don't blame the instrument.
Yeah.
If it's used as a tool, it can get you out of trouble at any given time. Right? It's a good example. In fact, there's a travel agency. Is there anyone here involved in the tourist industry? I know there's bloggers, writers. I saw some of your profile that way. You are, right? So you know about Intrepid Travel?
The what?
Intrepid Travel is one of the biggest travel agencies in the world. They're located in Australia, and they have different offices in UK, Toronto. So years ago, 2012 is the date, they sent 7 of their staff in India to experience a digital detox. They were going to put it in their new brochure as an option for the clients. Because it's been a trend for years now. You know, I've been pioneering methods and programs out of this journey of mine since forever. And now the industry is trying to catch up, but they have nothing to offer. So it's funny to look at them. They're just mindful. They're just mindful. In fact, I always say full of mind. They have nothing. And they came back. They spent 2 weeks offline, and they were like so amazed, fully transformed. And they were trying to put it into a package, and they never did. because they were so concerned about their clients. What if clients are looking for a Wi-Fi connection? You see, that's the thing nowadays. Mount Everest, you know the big mountain, right? Do you know that now there's a Wi-Fi signals in each station, each garage? Swear to God. Why? Because climbers were, in fact, they were bitching and they made some complaints and they said, we will come only if you have Wi-Fi. Why? Because, man, I gotta tell people that I'm in camp number 2 and I'm super cool and I'm gonna go all the way up. And it need to be sent ready on Instagram. The people need to see my face, recognize me, and send me some likes. And I'm like, ugh. But it's a real
safety, isn't it? Like if you're going on a journey like that, you want to know that you can contact somebody and they can come get you. So I mean, it gets you both ways. It's safety and luxury.
Well, you know Sherpas. You know Sherpas. The Sherpa. They're Sherpa. They want to look after you. Or they want to take everything for you. Or they want to know.
I think he's done Mount Everest.
You what?
Wow.
I was in India in that area before cell phones,
Stunning.
email addresses.
Incredible. So you know what I'm talking about.
No, I've got no idea. I've never been to India where there's been cell phones or Wi-Fi connection. I was there long before that.
Yeah, so that's why
It's fine. You don't need that shit. I actually wish you could switch this thing off and everyone would switch their Wi-Fi off when we come here. It's giving me a headache all of these like Wi-Fi signals.
Yeah, has anybody noticed? So it's been happening
The EMF.
maybe like since we got to Europe, which is like a month now, so it can't be Corona. But every time, like at the same time of day, like I get a really mild headache and he gets a
We've been hunting for
bad
houses
headache.
in this area, and there's certain areas, and we arrive in an
Yeah.
area, and within 10 minutes of getting into that area, I get this in my head like this, and we go down the hill, or we do just turn around, and there's one of these towers, and we go downhill to the lower areas as quick as possible, and it goes away. It's madness. I actually wish everyone would switch off their Wi-Fi. You want to talk about a digital detox? What
There's
you
no
do-
Wi-Fi on my phone.
Well, no, but when you start one of these things, you must have to switch their Wi-Fi off. It's exactly.
Well, I
But
usually,
I really think
just to be clear with that part, okay,
connected.
because this conversation was meant to be relaxed. Usually the way that I engage with people when I start my presentation, I say, okay, let me put you to the test. Let me put you to the test, so what I'm talking about will make sense in your own life. And I said to them, I said, what I'm about to ask you is something you've never done before, most of you, or might trigger you in reference to just shut down your phone during the time of my presentation. And I've done that with doctors when I was in India, by the way. And they were like, what is that about? Because they take airplane mode. No, I'm being off, completely off of the grid. And then I do it on purpose. I go around, I take my time, and I say, you know this message that you were waiting for? Maybe you will get it now because your phone is off. And they do it on purpose and they go crazy. I said, it's been 2 minutes. How many things can happen in 2? And I just build it so they really understand. But I understand your point. I mean, EMF is a huge concern right now. And this is why with my work, Wellness by Design, I want to encourage resorts to have a space where there's zero Wi-Fi, right? Where people can explore the benefit of earthing,
Yeah, take
you
shoes
know.
off, stand.
But how to do that? It's not just to take it for granted. So I'm working with a package that includes vitamin N, vitamin nature, vitamin C, SEA. It's everything that I've created. Just to touch on it briefly, Reconnect to Disconnect, which is a systemic method that revolves around what we miss the most nowadays: movement, moving to music, self-expression, how to communicate with people, not just at a distance, but working together, commitment and leadership. How can you bring a contribution?
Also, empathy.
Well, that's what it is. Because when you do that, you can start to develop a emotional intelligence. So you're not into the concept anymore. You're building resilience, as it said, out of compassion, out of empathy, out of recognition for people around you. So it's no longer just about you. So it's going from selfie to selfless.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that's the fine balance I guess that you can have
Exactly.
between being a digital nomad and
Exactly.
like living a bit of a better life. Like you're always on your computer and you have 4 walls, but you don't have a nice space and you can't go to the beach and you can't, you know, enjoy your time where you actually are. Because let's be honest, like I ran a company and it's a 24/7 plus a couple of hours job, and you're always doing that. And so it's just to basically have a space where you can really enjoy your time, and you know you can still, like, I had a garden while I was doing that. Like I had a massive garden and I just panic grew when like Corona came on, and that was like my, like, digging in the garden, looking after my plants, caring for something else besides just, you know, like one thing which I can't get away from.
Gardening is so good for me.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's like you gain a love for your plants, you know. It's like I don't have children, but I like my plants were my kids. It was like, oh, this is my
They
baby.
taste so good.
And then you cook it, and it's even better, and it's just a different lifestyle. Like now I'll be looking for a place, but I already have this green pepper in the fridge, and everything that I had, like that I used from a shop, I replant. Like I'm already planning on taking those seeds and putting it in sand, and when we find our new place, I'm gonna put it in something and just keep growing.
you're really into
It's really
permaculture.
therapeutic. Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Eric, do you think that there is a connection between self-balance and the how much you use the digital in your life?
Yeah.
Because I'm concerned. Like I have a 20 years old sister in Canada, and their culture, like if you don't post, you'll be rejected from your friends group, and if you don't do that and that and that, and they don't know anything else than that, right? So
Exactly, and that's where it's a big concern. There's I can send you some links, encouraging people to spend more time online. There's a movie called Screenagers, you touch on that. Why is it that kids are so influenced by, not so much by social media, but by the reaction?
it's
And-
it's their relation with people in
Yeah.
real life, not the digital.
Well,
right?
it's a living conundrum. You know when I say conundrum, by the way? You know when you say I feel so connected, when in fact we're so disconnected? That's the example. They think that when they are on social media, they're connected with their friends. When in fact, no, they're fully disconnected.
Yeah, they're waiting for my sister. She's a nice girl and she's very like simple with me. Then when she goes on Instagram, I see and I look at a woman and it's not Marisa. It's not her.
Something
I know her. It's not her, and that concerns me.
Wow.
It's kind of sad, I understand.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, like I'm not one that posts like all the time on social media. Like I don't scroll through. I probably I can count the amount of times, like maybe 200 like posts on a feed that I've seen since social media came out, and like I feel like I guess coming from somebody from what you call the stone age of not going through that, like I always feel like it would be better for me in certain things, like I do commercial modeling and stuff, and I feel like it would be better for me if I did do that more. So I guess that's everybody's feel like it's better for me if I do it more. It's better for me if I do it more. But I don't know, I don't do it enough, and I'm always on my head, I'm like, Chanel, you gotta post more, you gotta take more photos, you gotta stand on the beach and look cool, you gotta take a picture of your drink, and sometimes I do that, I take pictures and whatever, and I don't get to editing it and posting and it's a lot of work for me.
I actually hired a friend to do my business social media because I just didn't care. I was like, I couldn't care less, and I should probably do it. And I'd rather pay someone, a friend who wants to do it and it's their job and they'll get value from it. And she's just like, can you send me this, can you send me this? And I'm like, yeah, I have all this stuff. I'm not going to sit there and write a caption and stuff.
Yeah.
Just having years out of my own stuff every now and then. I don't care.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's also you don't do it at the right time, and then it's what?
She
What's
schedules
the
it
Yeah.
for me. It's very good.
It's if it's not now, for me it's then it's so unreal. Then it's then what's the point? If I'm not, I don't know, I'm not with it yet.
all had to learn about digital marketing and
Right.
launching like online courses and stuff, and I was teaching people how to launch their projects, like working in social media, personal branding, networking and stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I hate going like filming on the camera. I love being connected to the people. And all my friends say, yeah, and then if there's another lockdown, you will have €0 on your account. And I said, like, I don't care. I'd rather be happy doing what I do. Like, I love to be in contact with people, and I don't want to go online and have online. That it's not what I like to do.
Outsourcing. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a way where you can find that medium in between what you like and to make it work, the
Out of
final
business.
objective.
The same thing. Find
Yeah,
someone that actually
actually.
wants to do it.
Yeah.
That's the point I got to.
Yeah,
Is that
but
science?
even if you pay, like you're paying, they will ask for your attention, and you want to put your attention in something that you really love to do.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's a big challenge.
it is because it's like, well, if there's another lockdown, you will have no zeros on your account, but how will I spend my day? I'd rather spend my
The rest
day
of the time.
doing something that I really feel happy with than
Yeah.
like just thinking about money and
And the thing is,
It's
also,
not-
yeah, it's not about, yeah, exactly. It's not
And
about-
because everyone needs to go online, I understand, but it's not the way that I want to live.
You know what? When people ask, so do you make a living out of what you're doing? If I was to say, if I was to be honest with you, before I started this journey, I was making a living. I was in show business. It was pretty decent. I've been giving presentations after presentations after presentation. Do you know how many times people are laughing at me? They think I'm just, can I say that I'm a bit of a
Alien.
lunatic or alien? I'm like, okay. But when I look at people of my age, 47, they don't look fit. They don't have any conversation. They've never traveled. You know, they've been stuck doing the same job because they want to make sure there's many $signs in their account. And they do a job that they hate. So they don't live a life of purpose. They live a life on purpose. But it's what's the point? And then they spend their money. Say again?
Are you a skydiver? You sound like a skydiver.
Ah, that would be nice. In my head,
You
maybe.
know.
Maybe in my
Master
head.
skydiver.
Yeah,
I can solve all your problems, eh? Really. Everyone just jump out of a plane.
Yeah, that's it.
Instagram.
Problem solved.
Wow.
Go forward, you God.
In fact, you know, we could make a deal. We could go recruiting. You go convince people to stop being on their phones, and then they say, "What am I going to do?" And I say, "Guys, come start over." We split, you know.
But still people want to share they did the skydiving.
Yeah.
That's
GoPros,
good. That's
stuff
good.
like that.
Where is it that you do that?
All over the world. I jumped in in Portugal would be my 15th country to start in. It's highly recommended, everyone. And you're right. Most people, when they come for their first skydive, they want their videos and their
And the
photographs.
phone.
Yeah.
And if the camera breaks, because on a typical skydive you'll have 2 GoPros on the wrist of the tandem master, 2
Yeah.
on the camera flyer, 4 cameras. Every now and again there's this like idiosyncrasy that occurs in the atmosphere. All cameras will malfunction, the memory sticks won't work, and that can ruin that person's life.
Yeah,
And they want their money back, eh? And you say, I
Oh,
can't
is
give
that
you your
right?
money back, you've had the experience.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty much. And they're horrified.
No, we want the
Most of the time the pigs are awesome.
Yeah,
And
we
you're-
want to take the experience.
And you were talking about people on their phone in the shower.
And you know what? The
That's
problem
the
is
next
even
level.
worse because nowadays people are very sticky. You know, they don't want to admit their addiction, and they want to preserve the addiction. So they say, "I'm not using my phone." But what is it that you have here? That's a Google Watch or Apple Watch.
I'm
So-
really semi-addicted.
You know, but yeah, the point is not to say are you addicted or not, but
I spend too much time in front of a mirror.
That's a different session.
You're
That's
black.
a
That's a black mirror.
Okay,
That's a black mirror. Yeah, the other one.
Eric, you know, I have many stories to share.
I just want to say about that. You saw the Netflix, the
No, we don't watch TV.
yeah, no, I've never saw it myself.
You
but
would
every
like-
time-
Sorry, we don't.
Every time I do a
Promise.
speech, people talk about the Black Mirror. So I just saw a trailer, and it was like,
You haven't seen it? They're
no,
really
I'm
it's
good.
just a
amazing.
few.
The-
It's amazing.
Just take
simple.
They see each
Yeah.
other.
Like, they
live.
see each other.
Like,
They,
send,
like,
yeah,
someone comes to
smile
you,
at
be
someone
like,
and
the
send
also
someone
like,
a
thank
line.
you.
Sorry, no, Joanna.
Send them a like.
Like a tip.
So they always
Oh,
just send likes.
I
And it's
saw
like,
that as
most
like
people, yeah. It's
4
very
years
cool.
ago or something similar to that.
Would
So
In
recommend
very
China
common.
they're doing it, but
Wow.
like, the government is doing it to people. So they're just trying to start leaving like a ranking or something like this, and if you fall below and everything, you can get credit and stuff like this.
It's like
It's
TripAdvisor for
ridiculous.
life.
Yeah.
Is it?
But
I think kind of the end of it was like there was someone just doing the thing, and she was like, I'll just do that instead.
It's a brilliant episode though.
Yeah, great.
Nothing
No,
like
it's-
it.
if we talk about China, I'm going to be here for many more hours
Are we boycotting everything China?
because it's amazing. On the sidewalk, you know about that, I'm sure. On the sidewalk, everything from the address to where you have to stop, whatever, is paved. So there's one lane that is for people on their phone. There's one lane for people who just walk.
What?
And everyone that says stop.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
you're joking.
That's serious.
Because everyone's walking like this.
In Silicon Valley, the California Highway Patrol, there's a sign, as I said in my own eyes, that says, please update your profile on Facebook after you cross the road.
Oh my god.
Ah!
What do you mean?
So people are like,
That makes
walking
sense.
down, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
talking
but
about,
I
you're talking
understand,
about-
but I know it's taboo. It's
No, no,
insane,
we're talking about
it's
EMF.
bizarre.
we were talking about EMF, right? In San Francisco, right? Because I was in San Francisco for a presentation.
Yeah.
Everywhere, no exceptions to make, you have a Wi-Fi signal and thanks to Bill and all his friends. Everywhere. And then if you look on the phone to get to see what connections you can get, because I was in the car, and I saw it goes like. So can you imagine how? It's just crazy, right? The amount of people who just fried their brain, just living in such a space, right? That's why the greatest quality, advantage, potential from Algarve, apart from places like Lagos seem to have a strong presence of EMF, as you said, but in some areas there's none. There's no 5G. So you have low signal, which means that the quality of the air is good, and you can encourage people to really rebuild their system with alkalinity, which is a big miss right now. People are building so much acidity that itself creates some inflammation, and it comes from stress. That will be a little bit true.
But then so if there's no 5G, you have shit internet, and then you can't work there, so you have to work with this 5G. Is that?
No, 5G is just that it's faster, it's more
Yeah.
intrusive.
Isn't that what we all want?
But earlier you were saying that your internet was really bad, and I was thinking, well, you have to work for more.
Yeah,
you set up
exactly.
longer. And it's like a bit of a cycle of like,
Yeah.
if it's fast, you get more done, but it's easy to stay there.
Well, my intention, to be honest with you, is to find a real resort who could welcome my gift, what I have to offer, put to the test anything that I have to offer, and leave my phone. They take care of everything. My job is to work with people, make sure they have a good time, and make sure that at the end when they leave, they can be
There you go.
better version
You
of
just
themselves.
stop being a skydiving instructor.
Actually, yeah.
No, you get your girlfriend to do your PA, your bookings, everything. You rock over the desert, you jump, you get someone to pack your parachute, live a life in the sky. I tell you, it's much better. Promise you.
I would say so. Yeah.
Promise you.
I should try it.
Everyone else is living this like thing, and there's this best kept secret, and it's just up there in this playground. Everyone's scared to go.
I mean, I'm open for everything.
It'll be done. We'll talk after this. You come.
I will. You
Cool.
take
Within
it.
2 weeks, I'll check. Within 2 weeks, anyone here that's never jumped to a plane, not just once, but like 50, 60, 70 times, you'll change your life one time. You won't ever want to go and do anything else again. You don't even want to go out and eat and soak. You know, it's like a different world down here. You know, it's like it's like you live next to the ocean, and your mother said you can't go in the water. You can't go in the sea. Don't go in the water. Don't go in the sea. Never go in the sea. And then one day your friend says, hey man, you want to come jump in the ocean? Like, oh man, no, you can't jump in the ocean. You jump in the ocean, you go, yes, that wasn't so bad. And this is our playground above us, this huge playground in the sky, and everyone ignores it, they forget it. So I'm going to guarantee you, every single one of you in here today, when you come and jump out of aircraft, not just once, but like 10 times, your life will change. You won't be interested in going on the internet anymore.
Wow, but, yeah, consider that for sure.
They say you should do one thing
I
a day.
recommend.
Scares you,
Yeah.
so
Sky's
so
the limit.
minute to it of that.
And his job zone is in South Africa, so he's not making money out of it. He just loves
When you do what you like. I just want to say something about that, and I really want to talk. I just want to talk briefly about Silicon Valley. I don't know how many of you have been to Silicon Valley?
Maybe excused.
You should know. Have you been to Silicon Valley?
Not yet.
Yeah, because most of what happened in the world comes from there. Silicon Valley schemes and what comes gold. Yeah, it's been hot. The reason they say that, as I mentioned to you, they're going through a crisis of consciousness. You probably heard that many people who made lots of money, very, like the guy, I wish I could give you some names.
Just make it up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, folks, Steve Jobs would be the first on the list, but then after there's others who became billionaire, like instant millionaires, right? Making lots of money, having the life that everyone dream about, having the yacht to go on the water, or, living life. But it was boring for them after a while. What they start to realize now is if you don't have a life of purpose, it's over. They leave room for depression and anxiety and confusion. You want more of what you already have to make you feel unhappy in the first place. So the story goes like this. People leave Silicon Valley frustrated, okay? And then where they go to places like India. They lock themselves into an ashram. And I've been there, so I can tell you. Change their name, shave their hair, dress in white, have their gurus waiting for them. I said, book their cave. That was the best part. I was sitting with this guy having lunch, and he said, I booked my cave. So I'm going to have my cave in 2 weeks. Tell me again? Yeah, I want to be enlightened by the end of the year. And I was listening to this guy like the guy used to be, I am executive from Silicon, was a poker guy. I was like the kind of guy that you wouldn't see that. Even a player, what's the name? The guy, what's the name? They have a name for that. Players, whatever they. Anyway, so he went from that to the guy who's like no more sex, no more alcohol, no more anything, vegan. Like going from one side to another, there's no in between. Now what you see is they go there, and after a while they get this kind of craving. They go back and do the same. In India, is exactly what's going on. Thank you, worst, because they're mindful. I'm mindful. It's the worst of the worst. In India, people go to places like either that or Bangalore, which is Silicon Valley of Asia. They go there, they work there all day long, work, lose it. Then they go all the way up to Tibet, spend weeks, months, and eventually they're like, I need to put some $ in my bank account. So they start a business online. It's now near Tibet, Rajasthan. They're starting to have more and more towers to accommodate folks that live in big cities and are going to make a living online. It's so weird. Like there's no in between, right? So Africa is the same. Silicon Valley of Africa is Kenya. I was doing a documentary on that, by the way, before the lockdown. I started in Bangalore, was on my way to Berlin, Germany, and then Silicon Valley, just before the lockdown. Crazy. So, Jean, sorry.
No, I was going to say also that people, because of work, and I get our responsibilities. I had a business. I had 2 guest houses.
Oh, wow.
And imagine that I was like waiting for people to come in and check in, but they wouldn't say what time they would come. I would go for a restaurant with my mom and my sister, and as the pizza come down, ding, they call, right? And all my friends and family, they were used that I was always connected. But I also was a lot of criticized, because they thought that I was always on social media, but I was also working because I had business, so I had to be online. But the thing is that most of the people right now, when you go out on a restaurant, we don't speak anymore. And I normally say, on the day that I get married, I will have a box everyone will put their cell phones because there will be a photographer if you want to have photos. Like you will leave your cell phones on
It already exists,
on a
you
little
know
box.
that, right?
Yeah, because
It
I
already
want
exists.
people to live the moment.
Get those throwaway cameras, those old wound-up ones where you get 24 shots.
Yeah, yeah. Or the
I don't,
ones
maybe
like,
oh, still
how
running.
do you call